but these are nice. Says, we'll read a few letters from people writing and see how it goes. So, this one says, Dearest Mooji, thank you for being yourself and sharing what you are. I will trust that your guidance is encouraging and urging me to realize what I am. I have a sense of being pulled into your arms. I feel like I understand what you say, and it is clear that I am not anything perceivable. There is an abundance of peace and quiet. My mind is relatively quiet and doesn't seem to bother me at all. But yet it still operates somehow. I have witnessed many miracles or changes in my mind. Crying has been happening more often lately, but I don't feel sad. I don't know if it is wanting to know who I am that inspires me, but more that I want to love and feel love's presence everywhere. Even though I see that everything seems to happen in me, including all questions, still there is not certainty as to who I am, but there is unshakable trust. I suppose I want to know if not following my thoughts and looking to see who I am, is this enough for me to be certain of myself? Sharon in Ireland. I intend on joining you in retreat in September using the live online broadcast. I'll feel very happy about it. In love and gratitude. I don't know if it is wanting to know who I am that inspires me, but more that I want to love and feel love's presence everywhere. Even though I see that everything seems to happen in me, including all questions, still there is not certainty as to who I am, but there is unshakable trust. There's a bit of advice I would want to give to that, because when you say, I don't know if it is wanting to know who I am that inspires me, but more that I want to love and feel love's presence everywhere. And it is okay to feel this desire, but don't give too much importance to that. Don't let it become an intention, because if you have too much intention, you'll create tension. You have too much intention, I want to do this and stuff, then life is not here to satisfy even your beautiful intentions. You see? So I would altogether just, say, okay, it's natural to want to feel love and the presence of love everywhere, as you say, but don't give too much intention on that. Don't put that on the front page of consciousness, oh, I want to achieve this. Because in order to do that, you have to become a person. And you don't want to become a person. You've had enough of becoming a person. You see? So even though I see that everything seems to happen in me, including all questions, still there is not certainty as to who I am. There cannot really just be a mental certainty. The mind cannot be certain about anything. After a while it will change and wants to become certain about something else, because its nature is to be bored with things. and it hitchhikes from one experience to another experience. It has the sensation, the imagination, that if it discovers something, it will enjoy it forever. It's never been able to do that. That is the nature of the mind. There's not certainty as to who I am. As I said before, it cannot be a mental certainty. It cannot be, oh, then you are satisfied because your mind knows what it is. Not like that. When all of this is thrown out, as seen as just a hoax, then what is left? There's no noise left. There's no noise. There's no noise left. No mind is left there. And in that space, a natural conviction is born from there. Not force, not imagination is needed. Nothing creative is needed. No skill, and nobody to be skillful is there. But there is unshakable trust. As long as we retain the identity of a person, your trust cannot be unshakable. It will sometimes be shaken to the root, and it has to be shaken. When you are the self, this kind of trust is not needed. You simply are. Things simply are. And out of this isness, everything is sprouting spontaneously. The mischievous agent is really this person who wants to act, who wants to do something, who wants the world to feel a certain way. And it gets away with it all the time because the consciousness identifies with it and then seeks to protect it, to guard this identity. This is it. I suppose I want to know if not following my thoughts and looking to see who I am, is this enough for me to be certain of myself? More than to be certain of yourself is to simply be yourself. You see? Because to be certain requires two. One, to be certain about something. But once you've reached the self, there's no need for faith. There's no need for proof. There's no need for belief. There's no need for trust even, because you are home. You are sitting in the heart of God, and God in the heart of you. It's one thing. Hello Mooji, I know you probably get hundreds of emails from different people, but I wanted to reach out to you because I am in really tough place. I had an awakening about a year ago when I learned that my whole life has been a dream state. I had been completely operating from my egoic mind and in a constant state of thought. I was able to see that everything that I thought I was just thought, but that there was a witness who saw everything. This was such a shock to me, and I was so scared that I ended up staying in my room and not going anywhere. I had never experienced so much fear in my life. I had always thought that I was in a place of wanting to give love, but it was only self-love, and that every action I took was really for my self-image. I did not know what to do, so I stayed in my room for 8 or 9 months and did not go anywhere. I am trying to figure out what to do next and how to get over this dangerous fear that the mind creates. I feel lost and stuck. I thought I would share because of your background in this work and what I have read about you. I really appreciate your time and hope to hear back from you. Thank you so much for your time. Sincerely, Darren. I was able to see that everything I thought I was just thought, but that there was a witness who saw everything. So I don't know if you were told that everything you thought about yourself or everything that you imagined you were was just thought, and that there was a witness who saw everything. I don't know if in your mind you thought that there's a witness separate from you who was seeing everything. Another witness, distant, have nothing to do with you. For you to feel that there was fear to come. Like God was spying on you or something. I don't know how that was heard, because from reading this letter, it sounds as though, again you say, I was able to see that everything I thought I was just thought. But that there was a witness who saw everything. Now the next statement, this was such a shock to me, and I was so scared that I ended up staying in my room and not going anywhere. So it was clear that you did not identify who this witness is, that the witness is your own self, not another. You see, this is how fear must have come at this. I had never experienced so much fear in my life. Because if there was such a witness independent of you, then your hiding in your room for 8 months would also be witnessed by that thing. It would be just saying, I can see you. It is not like that at all. You see? Now, I had always thought that I was in a place of wanting to give love, but it was only self-love, like a selfish love. And that every action I took was really for my self-image. I didn't know what to do, so I stayed in my room for 8 or 9 months and didn't go anywhere, you see. So such a person really should be in satsang. Then you would blow out these dark thoughts much more quickly. But staying in your room 8-9 months, maybe 8-9 months in a state of fear, what is the achievement of this? You see? So did not understand, whoever was directing your attention did not convey sufficiently, or you did not assimilate or understand correctly for this insight to produce fear. In fact, it should be anti-fear. In the real understanding, the real witness being recognized as your own self, the fear now should not be there. Rather, a great space and a great peace should enter your being, you see. I am trying to figure out what to do next. You see, it is pure trouble, one trouble after another. I'm trying now to figure out what to do next. Who can know what to do next? Nobody can do. And how to get over this dangerous fear that the mind creates. I feel lost and stuck. Evidently, of course you will. I thought I would share this because of your background in this work and what I've read about you. The true self which you already are was not recognized. The recognition hasn't really occurred there. Just some half-concocted sort of spiritual something happened, and so it was not understood, so fear was the remnant of that misunderstanding. And it is a sad thing, but it is not over. The feeling of stuckness, feeling of lost and so on, that is okay for a moment, but it has to go. You see? It is not your natural state to be afraid. It is not. It is a very tiring state. In fact, to have identity as a person or as ego is the most exhausting thing. There's nothing as exhausting as the ego. Nothing as heavy. The ego is heavier than a mountain. You're just constantly wearing this. It in fact is a testimony to how strong our consciousness is, that it can bear the attack of this mind force, which we create a relationship with, you see, and still be here. I'm trying to figure out what to do next. That's what happens really when the identity is there. There's always trying to outsmart, to outguess life, to create some version that works. and it is painful thing. And this is why so much here the energy is put to really make clear the understanding, so you come out of this mischief, out of this tyranny actually of thought and psychological thinking, you see, psychological mind. I guess I'm sort of trying to wake up, or come to realize the cosmic joke, as some people put it. I'm very fond of the late philosopher Alan Watts, and find his work very accessible. Anyway, I think there's one key thing holding me back, and that is a fear of losing the things I believe in. I am sure this is a classic issue people face, and perhaps it means I've still got a way to go, but I'd really like to know from someone who feels the flow of everything. Upon letting go, do all the things you believe in, all the things you care about, simply evaporate? Because there are a lot of people close to me who I feel rely on me being me, and that means a lot to me. And the thought that I might discover this secret but lose my capacity to still connect with them on the same level really concerns me. So can you tell me, does it all change? Or is what happens that you still know what you believe in, but that this is now grounded with a new insight as to what is really fundamental? Thank you for your time. Please keep this anonymous. Sorry, I just read that late, sorry. So I won't say who it is, but it says Sam, Australia. Sorry. Nothing to be ashamed about. What is a letter like this? Why should you be afraid or ashamed? What are you protecting? Because if you want to remain anonymous after writing a letter like this, which is an honest letter, if you're going to be ashamed, what are you hiding? And you don't want to change. Also, I'm reading now, when I hear please keep this anonymous, then I'm going back to something that says, do all the things you believe in or things you care about simply evaporate if you realize yourself? Because there are a lot of people close to me who I feel rely on me being me. And that means a lot to me. You see? And then you want to be anonymous. So it's like you cannot have the courage to present yourself and say, yes, I have these thoughts. You want to preserve this relationship with people who are relying on you. This is a very tremendous thing. So you're hiding something that I don't want them to find out. Yeah? I want to preserve this relationship, which is holding a lie. You see? So you build stress upon yourself. You see? And your question is quite an authentic question. It's okay to have this feeling, to have this doubt. You want to know if upon the realization of the self, do the things you care about, the things you believe in, does it evaporate? But you must put it to the test. What is more important, the things you believe in, but yet you're still not sure if you're free, you're not free, then do you really want to preserve something you believe in, which may turn out to be not really the way you believe it to be? And who is believing in this thing? The Buddha? I don't think so. It must be the constructed self is believing in a certain range of thoughts that it wants to protect, but does not want to threaten these thoughts, you see. Then this is a tremendous burden to carry. You see? I understand how it can be like that. So, because there are a lot of people close to me who I feel rely on me being me. But you being you is what? A lot of people who are relying on me being me. But is this me true? Because if it is not true, it will create a lot of pain in your life. Then you have to be keeping up something which is not true. And what is it? Maybe just your ego feels a bit fluttered, then you must make a choice. Do I want to continue like that in a false relationship? You see? Or, of course, it cannot just be only false. Maybe some beautiful things about it. But there may be still something that you are not able to open up about. And you must be willing to open up about it, you see. And the thought that I might discover this secret, the secret to the self, but lose my capacity to still connect with them on the same level, really concerns me. Then you are really holding on too much conditions. If you're having too many conditions that you have to support, then how can you let go into the full possibility of discovering the truth? You're saying, I'll discover the truth if I don't lose my attachments. This is not a genuine approach to the truth. At least you have to know that, you see. And also the idea that people are relying on you to be who you are, maybe that's your projection. It may not be true. So it can be a double lose-lose situation. Maybe they're not relying on you. Maybe they also sense maybe something is a bit hiding something, not relying on him. And then you're thinking they're relying on you. So they're not relying on you, and you are also not relying on you. And then it just becomes very contorted somehow. Time for a grenade. Is what I say. Dear Mooji, I am experiencing some fear. I watch your talk where you spoke of people leaving the heart, and they say things like, I think I'm ready to go back to the world. Then they are lost and it is very difficult to come back. I know you say remain quiet, but I really don't want to go off and leave the heart. After the London intensive, I said just that. I said I think I'm ready to live in the world now. And I was guided that this is the world. I have been visiting churches and Buddhist center, and I feel afraid of that. I also use Facebook a lot. Do I need to be careful? Am I lost? Do I need to give something up? I don't want to be deluded by my mind, as I feel I may believe that it is intuition. Thank you, with gratitude, kind of know. Yes. I'm experiencing some fear. I watched your talk where you spoke of people leaving the heart. They say things like, I think I'm ready to go back into the world. It is true. Some people, in some premature sense, very often when a deep insight has been experienced, sometimes prematurely, people want to go out to teach and they want to go out to share, and they're looking for other people that they can test out their spirituality with and stuff like that. Or they feel like, now I know everything and so on. And then very often at the first burst of some insight, some arrogance is coming. You start to feel I'm special, I'm ready, and all of this thing. So I always say, you should go and get inside your sleeping bag and zip yourself in and don't speak to anybody. Just marinate in your understanding and stay there. You don't come to satsang with the desire to want to become a guru. It's the most terrible thing. You just find the truth like that and stay away from the company that excites your mind and this competitive spirituality. Don't be anything to do with it. I said this thing. And some people have done this thing, and then they get very entangled, and you see them and they've lost that beautiful light. It seems to get covered up again with some kind of nonsense thing. That they become person all over again. It's quite common stuff. I know you say remain quiet, but I really don't want to go off and leave the heart, so to speak. So this is the consciousness speaking, that is temporarily under some kind of hypnosis of identity with the person, you see. And it's discovering its own self. But now it must discover its own self and honor that self. That is true self-respect. That you honor what you have seen. Don't go and mix up and try to prove anything to the world or nothing like that. After the London intensive, I said just that. I said, I think I'm ready to live in the world now. And I was guided that this is the world. Even this thing, sometimes some beautiful insights come, and then very quickly people feel, yes, I'm ready now I'm ready to go into life. I said, slow down, rest a little, marinate in your own self. Just be with that, give some time to this. And this lady came and she was here like this, and after something took place, at one point I felt that there was such an innocence, such a beauty reflected in her approach. She was so humble and so something so urgent, and so she had no time for social life or nothing. She just wanted to sort this out. And then a little insight took place, and then after a few days you say, I want to go back and I want to share this. I said, no, don't share. Keep quiet. Stay put. Stay a few more days. Sit down. Keep quiet. But no, I want to share with my friend. Then she went back against my advice and became very entangled again into some nonsense. See, so this is you I'm talking about. I've been visiting churches and a Buddhist center, and I feel afraid of that. I also use Facebook a lot. I don't know what it means. Do I need to be careful? Am I lost? Do I need to give up something? I don't want to be deluded by my mind. You're already deluded. As I feel I might believe that it is intuition. Is there some consciousness is there? So I don't want to keep going with my mind, because when you go with the mind, you think you're onto something. It turns out you feel that you're being very intuitive, and then you see that actually it's still just some trick in your mind. You see? So there's some sort of urge, a sort of habit to want to demonstrate spirituality, and this is not a good thing. You see, because the ego is there that wants to use whatever you have seen. It's going to claim it, and now it wants to use it to launch its own little ideas and its own little concepts, and then everything becomes a mess again. You see? My master used to say like this, now you must look after it. He used to say like this. Then some clever people say, who is to look after it? Who is to look after it? I said, yeah. Just listen to the master, what he's saying. Don't be clever. Means don't be in such a hurry to go and share with people. It might sound nice, like it's compassionate, but it's just an opportunity to show off very often. You see, something has to really slow down until you're really cured. You understand? That you're cured. Not just you're taking medicine, that you're cured of this delusion. Because it's very easy to feel, yeah, I'm free like this. You see? I'm invincible. I'm formless and all that. Then somebody hits your car and, I'm taking them to court and all that. So that's how deep this is. Dear Mooji, it has been for some time now that I feel depressed and afraid of people. This egoic perception through memories and illusions hurts a lot. I wake up in the morning and I am already full of unsatisfaction. Every object triggers more psychological pain and draws me deeper into unhappiness. This letter is being written to ask you for help, for some method to avoid it, but I already know what the answer will be. Just dive into this pain. Now, it's not my answer. Let it be. Be okay with its presence. Do not experience pain. Be the pain itself. See what is beyond. You see, I would not say that. But it hurt Mooji. This thinking, feeling, being involved, being connected, being itself, it hurts so much. And not Zomi. Not Zomi. I am not going to give any personal advice anymore. You know, unless you're my mother or something like that. I don't want to give any personal advice because it doesn't work. You understand? It doesn't. It only works for the moment, for a few moments, until your next set of troubles come. So I don't want to give any personal advice. This is what's happening to me. Could you give me a tablet? Can you do it? No. I say, when you are ready to really find out who you are and to be what you are, hold this desire in your heart very strongly, and it will take you somewhere. It will take you to somebody or some place, and then to the right place it will take you. And then you will begin to enter through the door of your own self into the inner place. Because here there's not sufficient power or openness. This is just another tell me what to do, tell me what to do. You see, sometimes people come. One man came to my house. He said to me, "Oh, Mooji, you know, please, just I want to be free. I want to be free. I just want to be free. I want to be free." I said, "Yeah, what matter? What happened?" "I want to be free. I want to leave everything. I don't want anything more from this world and so on." So I'm not trusting this. You see, this what happened? What happened? You see, everything is wrong. Everything. But what happened to you? Then it turned out his girlfriend fired him. You see, told him, "Chill out." You see? So that was for that. He wants to. I want to be free, Mooji. I just want to be free. I want to be finished with the life. I said, "No, I don't trust you." You see. Then after a few days, you see, when the girlfriend called you again, then Mooji, what up? No, it's okay. Everything is okay. So it's not really that you're searching for truth. It's some emotional resistance. She left me. And, my world's falling apart. I said, my God. So this is not a true approach to freedom. One man we know very well. He came. He was intending to come to India a few years ago with his partner, his girlfriend. Then they were going to join the retreat, my retreat. And then they wanted after this to travel all over India, to Goa and to go to different places and travel together. So he decided, no, I will still work a bit. You go to the retreat with Mooji. And then after the retreat, we'll meet up and then we'll go off and carry on with our plans. And she came to the retreat and woke up. And then when she woke up, her life was, she was looking in a very different way. So then when he came at the end of the retreat, first he was coming, he came at the end of the retreat, and he's already written to her some letter, "I'm coming and let's meet." And she was saying, "Okay, I'll come and I'll meet you in this cafe the next day." Next day? But we've been separated for already a few weeks. I'm sure you want to come and to be to meet, and we'll all fireworks and we'll go all place. And he was sensing something is different. No? So then when he come and he meet his girlfriend, she's not quite his girlfriend anymore. She's a Buddha. My God, that's the worst thing. A girlfriend who's a Buddha is not good. When you got so many plans ahead of you. Is it like this? So then he come and he was completely, oh my God, and she's not behaving like the way it used to be. Something was very calm, very stable, not needy, not sticky, very clear. Then something felt very threatened by that. Then it's like the world is falling apart. Then this man comes and he says, I need to see you. I said, okay, what happened? He says, I don't want anything bad to happen, okay? My girlfriend seems to have woken up. I don't know what happened to you, but she seems to be a different person. I don't want to change that for her. I think it's a very good thing for her. But I want you to make me like her. I want this to happen to me too, so we can be together. Mr. and Miss Buddha, okay? I said, it doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work. No, I really want to be. It's not that I want her to come back. She's gone ahead. I want to go ahead and join. Sounds very credible. I said, yeah, but it doesn't work. It's not going to work. Because it's coming from fear of loss, you see. I don't know it, something's not genuine. No, try me, don't give up, don't give up. So we sat and we spent quite a few time together. In fact, he wrote a book about all of this. You see? And somehow he came to a place of some seeing. But the intention, now we can be Mr. and Mrs. Buddha, was not working somehow. Because somehow it just wasn't working like that. And then it became another episode is going on, you see. So what you can do, it's best not to have so much intention inside your mind. Just show up with your heart open, see what happened. Maybe your journey may happen a little bit differently. Are we open to that extent? Or do we still have some requirements from life that life continue to satisfy our projections? Because then you're not really open, you see. Now, does it mean that life wants to take away from you? You are just thinking so silly. Life's taken away from you. You got nothing to offer life. You are yourself should be the offering of life. Why can you offer life, you see? But something is already tight inside this place. How is going to move out of this? So a lot of pain sometimes come, you know. And then you talk about these things hurting so much. Sometimes things have to hurt a lot. And in that hurt, something is changing. It has to change something. Because it means something is not flowing. It wasn't someone started this for you. Maybe a relationship triggers what is already not flowing in you. It didn't give you the not flowing. It's simply not cooperating with your projections to flow in a certain way. And then to see these things when you want to be a person is very painful. But when through these pains you offer yourself up to life, to existence, then something begins to work through and you come out into a beautiful place. You see, my God, everything in my life has been a kind of blessing. But I didn't recognize it like a blessing because I was too much wanting it to be a certain way. Now I'm seeing that it's just, at a certain point, something here has to leave aside a bit your personal identity. And in doing that, it begins to somehow slow down the speed of your perception, you see, until it meets just the cosmic stream. Then when it's like this, you understand things intuitively. You begin to notice that life is taking care of life and that everything is well, it is fine. It's like you, but you have to slow down. Not life has to slow down or speed up for you. Something slows down. And then you begin to see, and all the things that I speak about, you understand like this. It's easy. It's like water going into water, no trouble. But when you have a mind and a past, you know, and an identity and history, then something is holding on to a lot of things. You're like an octopus holding on to so many things, so many things. And then you want to be free. I want to be free. There has to be a willingness inside to say, perhaps the things that are being held on to are themselves creating a sense of unfreedom. So, this is the entanglement of the human psyche. Dear beloved Mooji, I've been watching Satsang for about 5 months now on YouTube. This was something new to me. I've been living in the mind for so long and never thought it was possible to quiet my mind, but following your advice, it didn't take that much effort to do it. Now, despite all the mistakes I have made in this manifest form, by staying in this peaceful state, everything, my whole life has been an illusion of the mind. My true self is incapable of making mistakes. This self, which is our true nature, cannot be explained. It is simply being. I am here with you, Mooji. We are one. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste. Fernie. Or Fernie. It's a beautiful letter. It's not a terrible thing to recognize that so far much of the way that we have been conceiving or perceiving life is based on illusions. For a moment, and then, okay. Don't be grieving, oh, I wasted all these years. You're wasting more, actually. You're grumbling about it. Now you say, oh my God. If you've been in prison for 10 years, you come out, oh, I spent 10 years in prison. No, you're free. Yeah, but look, then you are still in prison. So, I've been living in the mind for so long. I never thought it was possible to quiet my mind. But following your advice, it didn't take that much effort to do it. I love that people, they confirm it does not take effort. It's not effort. It's the will, the openness. You see, the openness makes many things possible. You see, but if you're going to argue, or you just want intellectual answers, or you're going to philosophize, or you want to prove something, or you want to, then this is you slow yourself down. What you're searching for is already perfect and in the right place. It is our inmost being. It's not hidden under layers and layers and layers of anything else but illusions. It is not deep. It's not shallow. No word in any language can convey where it is and what it is. It simply is. In front of it, or in it, the fast-moving mind is up for business, doing something. And you're first pointed to observe that, but don't interfere with that. Learn to observe with detachment. Yeah? Don't get stuck in all of that. Don't go to work on yourself. Just begin to observe a bit. And in a short time you come to see, but wait a minute, all this stuff is just impermanence. It's all impermanent. This has been noticed for thousands of years, that it is impermanent, you see. And how much energy is being poured into what is impermanent. So, oh my God, I've been emerging energy for so long with this thing, and it's nothing at all. In that moment, you may for a moment, wow, that's so painful, that so much has been wasted. But now just is. Some little things from the mind still coming up, yeah, but what is going to happen when? Then you have to feel, and when what? When this and this thing happen. Well, when they happen, they happen. We will see then what to do. You cannot plan to be brave next week. Just here. And each time you must defeat, no? In the story in the Bible it says that after the baptism of Christ, no? He went in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't go into the town. He didn't go to the chai shop. Right? He went into the wilderness to be alone. You see? Didn't go and say, listen guys, a dove landed on my head and a big voice says, this is my son. He didn't say that. He went by himself in the wilderness. Didn't take no disciples with him. He went by himself. And in the wilderness, he had to face the remnants of what was here. Because now the power was with him. And it came. And the voices start to come. If you are. It is written. You see. All this I give to you, if only you bow down and worship me. This voice, this ego was coming, you see. And he had to transcend it with understanding. You cannot fight the devil. You have to somehow you stay in the center of yourself. He could not do it before his baptism. The baptism was an initiation somehow into the spirit of being. And when he came out of this, he had the necessary strength to stir up all the gremlins of the mind and the ego, and to face them and to defeat them one by one. At the end of this, it said, the devil left him for an opportune moment. Meaning what? Next time when you're feeling a bit low, I will be visiting you, okay? Not over yet. But in that moment, something transcended those voices that called you into duality, that called you into a kind of weakness. And everybody's now spending, this is your own 40 days, 40 nights. Sometimes after a great insight, then a lot of nonsense come. A lot of fears, a lot of duality, anything worse than before even. And all your house is going to shake. But you may not be shaken. This is the important thing. And this test you must come through. Yeah. This test is not a test to make you fail. It's a test to see if you will fail. You see? Because when you break through and stay inside your truth, you find out, wait, there's power coming here that I did not know I have. But when you're a person, you know how much power you have. Or you exaggerate, and then life teaches you don't have much power. But here you feel completely empty, weak, powerless, and then a great power come and raise you up. This is the difference, you see. Beautiful letter. My true self is incapable of making mistakes. Who can speak like that? My true self. The false self, every day mistake. And it has to learn by mistakes. Mistakes themselves are also the teacher. It's your guru for a while. But now realizing my true self is incapable of making mistakes. This self, which is our true nature, cannot be explained. It is simply being, you see. It's not trying to do anything. It's not trying to beat the mind. There's nothing. This doesn't even enter. You see. I am here with you, Mooji. We are one. It is true. We are all one. That's how we won. Dear beloved Mooji, while I have been listening to you on the subject of evil in this world and attempting to perceive some of the bad events the way you goad us to perceive them, sometimes the mind takes us back to its old regime and there is a feeling of despondence and helplessness. I live in India, and the recent spate of crimes against women, the apathy of the rich and the wealthy to the plight of the poor, the growing divide between the rich and the poor, the crimes committed in the name of religion, bomb blast, religious fundamentalism, female feticide, the list is endless. How does one cope with all of this? Is there some justice in the universe that we are unable to perceive? Regards, Gautam Mudbaktal. Well, Gautam, you have to become Gautam. How does one cope with all of this? The Gautam has to find Gautam. Gautam has to find Buddha. How are you going to cope with all of this? You have taken on a very big thing. You're one worried about all these things in the world. And there's unending, there's a whole list of them. How are you going to work through it? You cannot even clean up your backyard. How are you going to heal the world? You see? So once you start looking out, there are innumerable things you're going to keep finding. You see? That is not the way. As I said, the way out is the way in. You have to turn inside. The solution is not out there. And also the solution is not global, it's not universal. The solution is based upon is actually changing your view. You think that if the world was all very peace, everybody have 3 meals a day, have a nice house to sleep in, all the children are going to school, that is the idea many people have, this world would be a nice place. It is not like that. If everything was going right according to our projections and our fantasy, this will be a disgusting world. It will be far worse than it is. And there will be no aspiration for truth. There will only be some concocted version of truth and liberty. And soon after a while, they start to use force, because you cannot sustain a righteousness born out of your mind. You cannot do it. The life imposes change and conditions that you have no power over it. The only way is to go back to the root of all things, into yourself. Dive into your own ocean, and then when you come to the surface and see if these problems are the same thing for you as you look. Because many things have to be in the world for now, as they are. You don't know the full picture of what is happening. You see? The beings, depending on what state of mind they are, also are experiencing the world. There's a saying, I am not seeing the world as it really is. I'm seeing the world as I am. Whatever is going on inside you somehow gets projected through your own psyche, and you think that's what the world is, actually. And then you speak about all these things. I live in India, a recent spate of crimes against women, the apathy of the rich, the wealthy to the plight of the poor, the growing divide between the rich and the poor, the crimes committed in the name of religion, bomb blast, religious fundamentalism, female feticide. The list is endless. How does one cope with all? You can't cope with it. Who can cope with that? Or at best you only cope, you cannot live. Who wants to live just to cope? You're not here to cope. Not here to survive. You're here to bear witness to the glory of God. You see? This is the poverty, actually. This is the poverty. Yeah. Yeah. The poverty of being. Not just the poverty of money. I believe one great saint was visiting America, raising money for his own religious group. And then after a while he says, I came here to raise some money for our charities, but I see that you are poorer than us. Because we are poor in things, but you are poor in spirit. You see? We believe so much in the evidence of our senses, but in the evidence of consciousness we know little. And if you only know yourself as flesh and blood and conditioning, then you have not as yet entered life. If all we know of ourselves is the personal model, which is always changing, always changeful, always restless, hungry for new experience, unsatisfied, then you really must go home. You really must go home. I'd rather say, come home, not go. Bo means out there. There's nothing out there. I'm not going to say that this world is not beautiful. This world is neither beautiful nor ugly, actually. We are perceiving what we are conceiving in the most. As you think, so is the world appearing to you. Dear Mooji, who is still there to tell them about anything when all creation, all things is free to blossom and shine? I told so many people about you that I can see now is the same holy face everywhere. Is it what is meant by if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? Nobody there then even to thank, or else I'd thank you from the bottom of what blossoms and shines. Who says this thing, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? Or this is probably some text, but what is the context of that expression? Because you cannot write things like this and people understand. If you see the Buddha on the road, who's going to kill the Buddha? The Buddhi? Who can kill the Buddha? What did it mean? So
You said it once.
Yeah.
It was meaning if you meet somebody to appreciate. So the Buddha that you just...
No, I did not make this statement. Somebody made this statement. I have heard this statement before many times. I may have commented about it.
Yeah.
Yes, commented about it.
The other way around.
You think when you see the Buddha on the right, you are perceiving it as something that is not yourself, that is something that's outside.
But this statement, it can only be appreciated in a very high mind. You see? Only like this. Because, in the past, the knowledge that is available now, there's some things about these deep things about the self and so on. It was not so readily available. In those days, you had to go traditionally, like in India also, you spend at least 12 years in the presence of a master. Some people don't live that long in their sadhana years. But 12 years traditionally, to be immersed in that satsang energy field and to somehow to be in association with that environment and that somehow, so you somehow absorb that spiritual atmosphere in yourself and clean the mind and so on. But now consciousness had the idea to change everything. So now we have a much speedier mentality. We can wait 12 years. We cannot go anymore 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. Because even the unemployed don't have time. Everybody's like over the counter now, we want. And if you want these knowledge now that was so rare to find, you may go to a monastery or something or someplace, and you probably spend nearly 1-2 years before you start getting any teaching even. You see, you're just sweeping things and making teas, cleaning out the cells and all of this. Now you just Google and come. The Avaduta Gita. Very interesting. You see? So then sometimes we are reading things, but the full depth of the utterance we have not understood, because we are so much sometimes quick to take the text but not understood the context of the expression, you see. So now, just like it's put like that, you meet the Buddha, so many people I told about you. I told so many people about you that all I can see now is the same holy face everywhere. This is very good. Is it what is meant by if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? So if you are meaning by this, then if the Buddha is something different from you, the Buddha is something different from you, far away from you, then you have to kill. You cannot not even kill it physically, but kill that relationship of thought or something. Nobody there then even to thank. It is not really like that, no? It is not really like that. Because if I look back now and I say, okay, through the grace I met a Buddha. And if I had not met the Buddha, then what would my life have been? You see? So my heart cannot forget that gratitude. It cannot forget that good fortune. You see, no matter how much something. So something says, thank you, Papaji. Like this, no? So, if I see Papaji on the road, you'll kill him. What? Who speaks these type of things, you see? So you have to understand it. You see, sometimes people don't understand. You see, a great sage like Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who unarguably one of the greatest Gyanis, no? Of non-dual understanding, was having bhajans every day, singing praises to God. You say, well, how you can be doing this thing? You're a Jnani, you know that there's no duality. What he's going to say? Better you shut up. Better you sit down, you don't know. Because there isn't even yet the aspiration to even talk to you. You see? Only you maybe just have only intellectual understanding about these things. But inner understanding, then you come to see somehow from a different way that cannot be understood, cannot be explained like that. You see? There's no you, there's no me. Yeah, better you keep that quiet and know this inside your heart, because you will still be saying thank you and very nice to meet you, and you'll be speaking. Supposing each one who realized herself could not see no you, no me, nothing at all like that, how would this teaching be passed down? You see? And they don't just sit there going, there's no you, there's no me, no, like this. You know? They may say this at the opportune moment when the necessary receptivity was there. Those utterances may come. A master is not just some kind of rolling off these teachings. It's not the teaching actually. My teaching is not great as the teaching only, but is the timing. And the timing is not set by the mind. It's just somehow the appropriateness of the consciousness. It just knows that it's in that synchronicity. It cannot speak otherwise, because it doesn't waste any part of its expression. So if there's not receptiveness, it will not speak. It will not encounter. So the very fact that there is satsang happening means that it has already prepared the listener and the speaker together, so that this show must go on. There's no individual listening or not listening or so on. It's just the consciousness playing through this world. But this is not easy to understand, you see, like that. Nobody there even to thank, or else I would thank you from the bottom of what blossoms and shines. It is fine, it is fine, it is good. Because you start, who is still there to tell them about anything? This is what I'm saying. Suppose on realization of the self, can't speak. Then your disciples, is he saying something? So let's just relax. It's natural, no? The love manifests in that way, displaying. One has to be very mature for silent instruction or for silence. Simply just not speaking, sitting as its moment is beautiful too. But inside must be somehow collapsing, being washed out from this silence, by this silence, you see. So there's nobody else, nobody really in residence here, just the Supreme Being. Let's see if we can go to someone else, another one, maybe a short one. Okay, try another. Oh, this one is short. About the same. Yes, beloved Mooji, the freedom shining within. Such a joy in realizing this ever-present, immovable light that has always been here, unrecognized until your grace pointed it out over and over and over again. Now, although within, its love lights up the entire world and is there for all to see, all who are destined to see. There used to be so much fear trying to deal with the world of myself and others, not knowing what to say and how to say it. I still don't know just what I will say, but life now presents itself and says things in such unknown and delightfully spontaneous ways. Life has become such a joy, and such a mysterious joy it is. I am so very grateful to you for showing yourself right here where I am. Dearest Mooji, thank you so much. I love you, I love you, I love you. Forever yours, Jim Rasa, California. Beautiful, no? That, why I say like this? Because this understanding must sprout inside. It cannot just be day after day we're just listening, oh yes, who am I, who am I, who are you, who am I? You know, it must be somehow that you're seeing, and this beautiful mirror reflects again the self to itself, something so beautiful. And a life of sorrow and suffering is transformed into a life of light and beauty. No? That doesn't say every moment is going to be a bed of roses. Sometimes the strong sensations occur, but they're not stronger than you. You see, however great the manifestations are, they are only occurring in a space that is inexhaustible. And something is in direct understanding of this. And so you live life to life. Life happens. You experience through your senses and the mind all the varying flavors of the manifest world. But something remains untouched. Now, you may say, but I don't know if I want to be untouched. But you can only say this from the mind. Because from inside you understand, oh my God, no, everything is delightfully beautiful. Even the painful has its place now. Because here is the immutable self. You know this with all your heart. Right? Wonderful, Jim. You see? And Jim didn't have to go to the gym. You see? Not to the spiritual gym. No gymnastics. You see? Just somehow the understanding is allowed to reveal itself inside, as it is here right now with us also. You see? Beloved Mooji, you spoke of sleep today. I yearn for peaceful sleep. My dreams are filled with the mind. Situations past and present arise during what should be peaceful sleep. My waking state is often more peaceful than my sleeping state. How is it possible to calm the mind during sleep? How can the pains that have been resolved in waking state be resolved in the sleeping state as well? Or are they actually one and the same? My dreams seem to be my life past and present trying to be resolved, but in a very strange dramas. Thank you, teacher, for coming into my life when the pupil was ready. You have showed me the way, and I can never say thank you enough. All my love from my heart and soul. Namaste. Love, Brooke Greenberg in Philadelphia. How can the pains that have been resolved in the waking state be resolved in the sleeping state as well? It will depend. I would wanted to ask you how long this is going on for, you see. If this not being able to sleep began when you started your sadhana or your spiritual discipline, you see. I would want to know that. If this has been all your life, then we have to look at it a different way. But if it started when you began to search for the self, which is quite, is not so uncommon that these things can happen, you see, it will pass. Because for a while, what happens is that when you begin to defeat the ego in the waking state, he moves to the dreaming state, the subconscious state, to try and see if he can get you in the subconscious state. You drive him out of the waking state, then you have to drive him out of the dream state. In the deep sleep state, he cannot follow, cannot go. Because even you are not there, in your local identity is not there. So he only has the waking state and sometimes dreaming state. And he will try and stop you from going into oblivion, you see, to keep you, you see. So somehow, maybe, I don't know, you can take some Magadan a little bit, or you begin to somehow relax with this and just say, even if it has to be like this, you see, then at some point, you just allow it, but you stay fixed inside the conscious field. Just be truly self-conscious. Not psychologically self-conscious. As I said before, sometime when visiting one friend lived by the airport, not far. And then we are sitting inside having tea. And big noise. I cannot make big noise like that. And everything. A house. I said, my God, how can you live with this? He said, with what? I said, it's noise, man. Nothing, you get used to it. When something relaxes and accept maybe what you cannot change, then the thing doesn't trouble you anymore. It's when you want to change it and cannot, then it really highly disturbs you. You see? If something relaxes, just let it go. Something come to that. Then you're not disturbed. You see? You understand, okay, this is some phenomenon taken on like this. And when I go to sleep, somehow the mind is racing. But if you're conscious of the self, you may find that both is there. The tremendous peace and at the same time some kind of chaos. You say, but how is it possible? How is it possible to feel such a roaring tsunami of thought and emotion and still be in this profound peace? I say, it's possible. They are not mixing. But the peace provides a space for everything to express themselves. Then they exhaust their expression and they collapse into silence. They have nowhere else to go. But if you start to fight, they persist. They grow and become, somehow stretched out because there is resistance to it. So something relaxes with this. I told you one time one man was working with me. Yeah, he's from Ethiopia, and he did not sleep for 4 years. Have you heard of this? No sleep for 4 years. Maybe for 10 minutes. Then he can't sleep. Go to bed, can't sleep. I said, for 4 years you don't sleep? Then he introduced me to a friend of his who didn't sleep for 11 years. Okay, have you heard of anything like this? In my town, people like that. Plenty of people. And this man who couldn't sleep for 11 years looks more fresh than the one that only sleeps. You say, how are these things possible? I don't know. I said, I just could not sleep. I had many treatments and things didn't happen. I couldn't sleep. How you stay like I don't know. So consciousness is demonstrating this thing, that it can be without sleep. I'm going to read just one more for now, I believe. Dear Mooji, I'm aware of my awareness of things, that it is me who sees. I'm aware of the two flavors of I, and that anything except pure peace and stillness that I experience must come from an attachment to my constructed sense of self, rather than knowledge my pure self, rather than knowledge of my pure self. I am aware of the significance each I in this letter holds. Can I be seen? No, it appears in the absolute that I cannot know. Only common sense tells me this. I have no experiences to report of vastness and peace that my little self craves. So I turn to grace. My true self needs no practice to be, and any attempt little me makes to somehow find what I am in the absence of any confirming experience necessarily makes that my mind cannot believe that I am that. Mooji, I trust in the grace of God to kiss my heart when I'm ready to know myself in experience and not just in the mind. Can you comment to me on this, Paul? Wouldn't it be great if this world was turned into one big ashram? It is an ashram in some way. It is an ashram in some way. Because everybody is compelled to evolve. Everybody is compelled to learn something. And for a while, the mind, life is your guru for a bit. You sometimes learn the hard way. Then something is preparing the inner space to have your satsang, to meet your master or something. And because what is evident in many letters that we read is the mind is not the way. The mind is a way, and better a way. But it is not the way, because we get so entangled in our own projections, our own concepts. And I can feel just by sometimes, I have letters in London that people wrote to me maybe 12 years ago. They're still in the envelope because energetically I can't read them. You understand? I don't open it. I just feel the letter feels physically heavy in the hand. You understand? And some people, they are like this also. You're so much in the mind, your presence is heavy. When people see you, they cross the road because you are too heavy. Sometimes the Americans used to say back in the day, heavy man, heavy. And I understood, you're a heavyweight. You could be tiny like a chihuahua, but you are too heavy, man. Too much. You're too loaded. And then someone can be light, big like Goliath, but inside light like a feather. Light, because not carrying any residential concepts, don't carry any notion about themselves, no projections, not living in the past, not living in the future. This one. Then this consciousness can accommodate the whole world. Some consciousness, some people, the mind is so full, there's no space even to fit one peanut in there. It's so full. Then how are you going to say then my relationship is, of course it's not good in your relationship. No, you cannot have a relationship with nothing at all, not even with a peanut you cannot have it. Because too much. So this one, how are you going to do? You have to pump them out. You cannot ask them, you cannot give them, do this sadhana, it's too much. You cannot do anything. So something has to smash this coconut. You need a laxative, mighty laxative, or a grenade. Then we start ground zero again. Too much practice. Okay, very good. Sometimes I would joke, and I say before, like the governments of every country, they should sponsor a certain number of their people to go to satsangs. Just for the health of their nation. Also the ministers should come. The politicians, they should go. Especially. Yeah. And then they recommend other people should come. And chill out a little bit. Let the world, sort of recover a little bit. And have some shanti politicians and more kind-hearted and so on. But of course, this is just a playful fantasy. It's not going to happen like that.
They're coming.
They're coming.
Taiwan first.
If they are coming, I think the Portuguese will be the first, I think. Not because they're the nearest. But maybe they have the heart to come. Dear Mooji, I don't know how to thank you. Through your pointing, I learned more and more to don't mind what is going on, and also to don't mind how things are going on. I doesn't have any more the feeling that the things are happening to me, or that the whole world and existence is against me. No. What I see now and feel and realize is the flow of the river of life. And I learn and experience more and more the meaning of giving up and to flow with the flow of life. No more struggle, no battles at all. The river is flowing and I am somehow watching it and me. Intellectually, I know that there is no duality, no me and it, and there is only one. The ice cube I is melting in the ocean of love and life. I is waiting, and not even waiting for the realization of oneness. I don't mind if it happens, but I can smell that it will happen. I wish to meet you as I and you. Thank you. Shabal. It is Persian name. My body is born in Iran. I live since 1999 in Hamburg, Germany. This is the final letter. I'm going to read it somehow because I thought to leave one out. This is it. Dear Mooji, sorry my English is not very good. First of all, I am so grateful of knowing you through YouTube. I don't know you personally, but you are my master who reached my heart. The first time I heard you, I felt a very deep connection, and a voice said to me, "This is it." Now I know who I am by listening to your satsang for many months now. I have no other desire than being completely liberated. Still, there are many discharges, sometimes fears and some negative thoughts when I reflect on some people. I observe how they come up during speaking with them like negative feelings that I know are from myself. My question is, sometimes I observe the discharge without identifying, and other times I simply stay in I am without observing what is coming up and go beyond. But it seems that I am escaping from the discharge. How is the best form of transcending all this? Because when I provoke the outcome, putting me in different scenarios to observe, it seems it has no end and so much energy comes up. But the other way, I am directly in my true being, but what of these memories, feelings, etc.? Will they still be there? How is the best form of transcending all of this? I hope I can sit someday in your presence with all my love and gratitude. Alejandro, Canary Islands in Spain. Alejandro? Alejandro. The best thing actually is observing. Everything starts with learning to observe. Because very few people, there's sometimes when the mind comes, they act out the mind somehow. Like it comes and they don't, nothing stays back to reflect or to observe anything. So introducing this observing exercise, that you simply observe, but you don't intrude, you don't interfere with that first. So as you begin, you start to see that something wants to get inside and wants to get involved. So that is also observed. Then you stay only as observing. So then even the tendency to want to identify and to struggle, that is also observed. That is the first point. And as you stay put and feel each time something wants to go and to identify and judge, but you just recognize, but that is also observed. And at first it feels like you have athlete's foot and you can't scratch it. Something wants to, and they say, no, just learn to relax. And sometimes you have to go, you can't listen. You go, it's okay, don't worry. And still just observe that also, no? Like that, because so gradually something learns to be with that and to feel where the identity, and you start to see how much the mind has been participating in your existence, how much it is acting in your name. You see like this at first, but as you're watching this, the power to observe becomes stronger and stronger. Now, what is the purpose of observing? Purpose of observing is not that you're going to spend the rest of your life observing, because that's going to be tiring. What happens after a certain point is you come to see that all that you observe is impermanent. That is a fundamental thing. That all of it, it's random also. That the mind is not making sense. Sometimes you're just quiet, sitting there and just being in emptiness or something. And then pink shoes comes up, and then the attention, pink shoes. And then muesli. And then some face of some friend that you haven't seen for 20 years. So what's that got to do with anything? And then you see how much attention wants to go, and then try to remember that friend's sister and how you had a relationship, and then see how then you're observing just how fickle and superficial this thought activity is. But you're being reminded again, stay only as the observer, don't get entangled, and you're cultivating a sense of detachment is there. And after a while it becomes easier and easier. And after a while, somehow, when it gets recognized in the heart that everything is momentary and there's nothing really lasting there, something begins to feel like the heart opens. It feels like that. Because the real heart never closes, but there's a sensation that something opens and relaxes. After this, you are noticing that actions, reactions, interactions are simply happening. Yes? But now you're not feeding. Your observing is not active. It becomes more passive, more neutral. So things are allowed just to sprout. Even the mind is coming. But you stop being the traffic policeman in your own head. You just let it happen. So rather than trying to stop a thought from happening, which just makes it more strong, you see? If you try to stop something, if I say to you, okay, just for 15 seconds, don't think of pink rabbits. Why did you say that? Because you can't stop thinking of pink rabbits, is it? So if you put anything like a resistance, don't think, then you start to think. So then, no, I say, let thoughts come, but simply stay as the weakness of them. Don't identify it. And this becomes easier for you. Then you realize that thoughts by themselves are not your enemy. You see? Then you become aware of just a space of being. That which is resonating inside the body as the sense I am, the sense of presence. You become more aware of this. When you become aware of this, naturally there's a feeling of space and peace. And like nothing is like a big deal. Nothing is a big deal. You see? Then the mind says, oh, look, you're becoming lazy. Then you must feel that thought and look at it, lazy. Discard it. You see? Because if you buy it, then you're going to have to take care of you trying not to be lazy. So you stop purchasing these thoughts. It's such a powerful thing, you see. So this tree of observing, you see, it bears immediate fruits. Immediately you start to feel a space of being. And in a short time, anybody who follow it, they start to write letters like some of these you write. Not, some of them is just pure trouble. Oh, my mind, and I don't know what to do, and the world, and no, not this place. You have to get out of that. Because that feels real, but when you check back, it is not real. It's created in the mind somehow also. Leave the world alone. Just focus on who sees the world. What is seeing this. And gradually you may come, at first some of these questions that don't make sense to you because you're not accustomed to them. You are not accustomed to questioning ourselves. You question other people, but yourself you don't question. So when you get used to the beauty of looking and putting attention on your inmost being, and only that, and somehow with that self-focusing, illuminations come inside very smoothly. A lightness of being is being made manifest, you see. And even from this day, you go home from here, what have you done? Not anything at all. But somehow your consciousness is reorientating itself somehow. and more space is opening up. You have to feel somehow the mysticality of being. There's a kind of vibration. It's not mental. Maybe you feel, I don't know what I feel. I don't know what I feel anymore. I said, boy, this is very promising. I don't know anything anymore. But something wants to say, look, you see, you're losing your brain. Huh? I said, no, you're not losing your brain, you're losing your mind. Okay? It is okay. And something, all education say, no, this is not good. This is not good. You should be worried. But when you pay attention to the feeling, something feels, but this is okay. Something feels very good. Very healthy, very calm. So somehow inside a subtle choice is made to go with the mind that's going naughty, naughty, naughty. Look, you should be guilty. Why are you doing? You're letting the side down. You should fight, work and strive. And something is going. See? So for a while some movement is there. Should I go with this mind? Because that's what you've gone with for so long. You know the voice. It gets you into a busy state, agitated state, but it leaves you with the feeling that you're doing something with your life. The other one, you're not doing anything for life. You are alive. So, wow, but where's my responsibility? Well, you are alive. Then something begins to sink into itself. It's something very beautiful. Then the peace which is really yours begin to become self-evident. So when you meet people, you don't feel intimidated anymore. You don't want to control anyone. You don't want to impress anyone. You don't need to be what you may call embraced. You don't need to be accepted. It's not a need. If people reject, somehow something feels a bit of the pain, but that's okay. It doesn't take away this. How much wider your life is. And then at some point you may find something just says, take me. Yes. Yes. Then you're not anymore explainable. You see, many people might think they know you, but when they speak you realize that they don't know. How can they know me? How can you come to the end of me? What is here? The you that you know is only your projection, you see. But you don't feel bitter about it. You understand that that is the nature of the mind also. You're not predictable, but also not unreliable. But you're not looking for anything, you see. Nobody can say how your being will express itself. But you will not want to go back to your mind. You will not be able to fit into your mind. It will be too small. It will be too small. In truth, this body is here as somehow a garment for the being. But the beingness has no size. It is sizeless. It has no beginning, has no end. One should not be afraid of one's own self. Thank you.
sorry to bother you, but I also have written a letter for you, and I hope it's easy, light enough that you read.
Now?
No. Also there is a deep quiet fish in the refrigerator. Thank you. You answered everything today. It's all clear. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm feeling.